Hey guys, welcome to week 2 of the Fit for 5K training. It's our active recovery day. I'm going to incorporate a little bit more equipment in today's active recovery. I'm just going to use a light mini band. If you don't have one, you can still follow along to this video, totally fine. All the same movements, just less resistance. So today's active recovery session might feel a little bit similar to a yoga flow or a very mild workout. We're gonna do a little bit more corrective exercises. Just with the running training, we wanna kind of keep our glute medius, our hamstrings, our abductors still firing. That'll keep us going for the rest of the training. So the first thing we're gonna do is just start in our plank position, and we're just gonna hold for about 20 seconds and then rest. So ready, and we're up. That's halfway. And rest. All right, we're just gonna rest on the ground for a couple seconds, kind of take a few big inhales. And then we're gonna do one more plank for 20 seconds. Ready, and we're up. That's halfway. And rest. Might have counted a little bit quickly on that one. So now we're just gonna flip over and we're gonna fire up our glutes. So we're just gonna do a 20-second glute bridge hold. I'm using both my feet. So I'm just gonna lay down on the ground, driving through my heels. I'm gonna lift my hips up. We're gonna hold for 20, starting now. Just kind of try to keep yourself engaged the whole time. Don't necessarily just hold your hips up in the air. Use your glutes, drive through your heels in the floor to keep those hips up. Go ahead and rest. Same thing, just kind of shake it out, take a few big breaths. You can pull your knees into your chest a couple times. Just kind of prep yourself for the second round. So now we're getting our feet placed right again, and we're gonna drive through our heels, getting our hips up. Ready, go. Big breath. See if you can fill your stomach full of air versus your chest. Three, two, one, and rest. All right, we're gonna flip back over. We're gonna do a couple push-up holds. So we wanna be just off the floor in this one. So your choices are, you can be here, a standard push-up, just off the ground, or you can go bent knee or knees on the ground. But ideally, still remember, you wanna fall forward with your hips so that our back is parallel to the floor. Sometimes we turn into a little tabletop, so we want to avoid that position. So we'll go ahead and get set up for our first push-up hold. We're going to do 20 seconds. Ready, and down. And rest. You can shake that one off. It's a bunch of pollen that flew into the garage. All right, so we're gonna do our second push-up iso hold, so we'll just get set up for that. Ready, and down. And rest. Whew. Arms are tired today. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do, just to kind of get everything activated, is now we're gonna go do some low split squat holds. So what that looks like is I'm just gonna set up, I'm not too concerned about how lined up my heel is to my knee because we're not adding any extra stability work in here. I just wanna plant my toe and my front foot at 90, and I'm just gonna push myself up off the floor. We're gonna do 20 seconds each side. Ready, and lift. That's halfway. And rest. We're switching sides. Ready, and lift. And rest. All right, so the next thing we're gonna move into, get this out of the way. So here I wanna do some heel lifts. And what that looks like is I wanna establish my tabletop, so I don't wanna be super tight with my shoulders by my ears. They're down and relaxed. Same thing with my hips. So you can go through the cat-cow to kind of find your neutral spine. And that's where you're gonna get kind of the straight line here. So just think, trying to keep your hips as flat as you can. You're just gonna lift your left heel towards the ceiling. So as I lift up, I don't really wanna make my back do the work. So we're not necessarily doing a kick. I want to keep right here flat. So I'm setting up and using my glute, I'm lifting my heel and back down. So I want nothing else to move except my heel lifting up towards the ceiling. And we're gonna do about 5 each side, so we'll just keep going on this side. And you can really squeeze your stomach here to make sure that you're keeping everything still. And rest. We're switching sides. All right, so now we're gonna kick our heels straight back out. So still keeping my hips from tilting up and down. I wanna keep them still neutral. I'm just gonna kick my heel back out. So that'll look, get in the right angle here, straight out. So I don't want my hips to shift at all. As I try to kick out, I'm keeping everything still. I'm really engaging my glutes here just for this simple movement of kicking back. That's 5. Let's switch sides. I'm gonna go this way. Neutral spine, fix your shoulders, kick straight back. And rest. Last thing we're gonna do kind of in this quadruped stance is we're gonna do some bird dogs. So now we're gonna incorporate the kickback that we just did as well as a diagonal arm reach. So with this one, you see a lot of people kind of creating this movement, lifting up. Just think you wanna push your hand and your heel far away, creating a straight line. You don't necessarily want to be lifting up, just away, because we're still trying to keep our hips and our spine completely neutral. So they're not doing the work for us. It's not our erector muscles in our back, it's our glutes and now our shoulders. So we'll get back in this position. I'm gonna move this again. Okay. So we're in a tabletop position, and I'm just gonna do 5 on one side before alternating to the other side or switching. So I'm planted here. I'm gonna move my right hand and my left heel back. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Switch sides. And last one, 5. All right, so now if you have a resistance band, you can throw that around just above your knees. If you don't have one, that's totally fine. You can still do this exact same exercise, but just now with less resistance. I hate when it's twisted. There we go. Okay, so now we're gonna do some clamshells. So what that looks like is you're just gonna be laying on your side, my feet or my knees bent at 90 degrees. And what I'm gonna do now is just I'm gonna pause and fix my camera screen really. Okay, so for this exercise, ideally you wanna be down on the ground here. I'm gonna tilt up just so I can fit in the screen. So I'm gonna go onto my elbow. What I wanna do here is have my knees bent at 90, my feet are stacked on top of each other, and I've got my band just above my knees. So for the clamshell, you want to keep your feet on top of each other, but they're going to be your hinge, like a clamshell basically. And then you're driving one knee up from the other, pause for a couple seconds, and then bring it down. So the goal here is we're still squeezing our glutes, using our abductors to drive this knee up, and then slowly letting it back down. We're gonna get 10 on this side and then switch sides. So go ahead and keep going. If you don't have a resistance band and you want a little bit more of a challenge than just an unweighted clam, you can always go into a side plank position and do the same movement, keeping your feet stacked on top of one another and then driving that heel away from the other. But today we're doing clamshells. I think I've got 3 left. And switch sides. Alright, so my feet are stacked. Especially with the resistance bands, getting that pause at the top with the constant pull down really gets a lot more out of this exercise. They don't seem like a lot. They can light you on fire, light your legs on fire, not you. I think I've got 2 left. Just chatting too much. And last one. And rest. All right. Now, I'm gonna move this band to my feet. Switch sides. So the band's on my feet. We're gonna get back into our glute bridge position. So now my back's flat on the floor. I'm gonna lift one foot up. So now we've got a lot more resistance in this bridge. So ideally I wanna keep this position as I'm gonna drive through my left heel to get my hips up. 1, down. We're gonna get 5 each side. If you have to readjust with the band, just because it's a different feeling now, Feel free to do that. And 5, switching sides. Two more. Last one. And rest. With the glute bridges, another thing to think about is that I'm not too worried about how high you're getting your hips off the floor. We just want to drive through our heels to lift our hips. If we're trying to get our hips a lot higher than we're able to, we start using our lower back to lift it off the ground. And that's really not what we're trying to achieve here. We're just trying to fire our glutes up, and this is just adding that extra bit of resistance. So just remember that. Okay, so I'm gonna move the band off to the side. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna stand up. All right, so I'm gonna go into a forward lunge and just hold. So my back leg is straight, and I should feel this on the opposite side of my leg. So I'm just gonna face this way again, and just think, how far forward can you lean into this? We're just gonna hold here. Slowly bring yourself back up. And then we're gonna sink back into it. See if you can get a little bit further than the first one. My leg doesn't look very straight. I'm trying. Ooh, 3, 2, 1, and up. All right, we're gonna switch sides, so same thing. I'm gonna start tall, take a deep breath, and as I exhale, I'm just gonna step forward. So this leg is straight, and I'm sinking in to my right side. And then remember, you always wanna keep your hips forward on this one. Three, 2, 1, and we're back up. Just kind of take a second, try not to fall down, and we're getting right back into it. Big breath, and sink into it. Good thing that wall is there. I've lost my balance today. I'm gonna hold here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and up. Whew. All right. So next thing we're gonna do, we're really hitting the legs right now, is we're gonna take a wide stance. And I like to flare my toes out just a little bit, so I'm not worried about keeping them square here. With this wide of a stance, your hips might be a lot happier having your toes pointed outwards. So now I'm just gonna slowly bring my hands towards the floor. You can put your hands on the floor if you're flexible enough. We're just gonna hold here. Focus on your breathing. Now I'm gonna walk my hands to my right side. I'm gonna hold on to either my ankle, mid-shin, or my knee, depending on where you're comfortable. Because ideally, I'm also gonna get a stretch in my lats here too. So as I hold on to my ankle, if I'm going to my right, I want my left arm to really swoop across. So I wanna feel a stretch down here, as well as my hamstring. You can kind of just drop that left shoulder towards the floor and pull on your ankle to kind of get a little bit more of a stretch. And then we're gonna walk over and do the same exact thing. So now I'm going to the left side. I'm gonna really wrap my right arm around and drop that right shoulder towards the floor. I'm walking to the other side, wrapping that left hand around, dropping my left shoulder. Relax, walk to the next side. Same thing, see if you can get a little bit lower than the first time you did it. And walk your hands to the center. And now see if you couldn't get your hands on the floor in the beginning, see if you can do it now. I can, hooray. Flexibility. All right, so we're bringing it back up. So now I'm back on the ground. We're gonna go in our side plank position. So now I'm gonna be here. And what I wanna do is if I'm on my right side, I'm gonna let my left leg sit in front. And now I'm just gonna lift my right foot up. I'm just gonna adjust really quick. All right. So another thing you can do to make this easier is you can stack one foot. So my left leg, I can bend my knee, get my foot planted on the ground. Again, ideally I want to be on the floor here. And then I'm gonna take my right heel, and I'm gonna lift through my heel. So I'm not pointing my toe up. I'm just gonna drive up, hold, and relax. And I wanna get 10. If you wanna do this version, keep going. You've got 10 each side. Otherwise, the other version I was showing is you're gonna be in your side plank position and you're just lifting. So same thing, but a couple more muscles engaged. I'm actually gonna do the regress version because I think I get a little bit more of that adductor. So I'm gonna lay down here, planting this leg on the ground. My head is, if you can't see me, resting on my arm because I want my spine to be neutral. And now I'm setting up, lifting through my heel, and see how much further I can get my leg up versus the other version. So I'm gonna go this way. That's 5, we've got 5 left. Four and 5. All right. Switching sides. So my head is resting on my bicep. My right foot is now bent. I'm lifting through with my left heel, getting that pause at the top before I bring it down. If you have a couch or an object near you, or you can just put this leg up and hold your plank position and do the same exact exercise, that's also an option. You can use ankle weights if you have them. Otherwise, getting enough repetitions at a good tempo should also fire these guys up. All right, and rest. Okay, so let's work on up here. So our shoulders, traps, everything that kind of gets tight as we're getting tired in our run and we kind of start to lose our form a little bit. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reach my hands back behind me, just sitting on my feet. And I'm gonna lace my fingers up, and now I'm just gonna relax. So I'm pulling my shoulders back, and I'm starting with my knuckles pointing down towards the floor. We're just gonna hold here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now keeping that same resistance, just start to lift your hands as high as you can. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax, still keep that tension in your stretch. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drive your arms up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and relax. All right. So I'm just gonna shake that one off. Next thing I'm gonna do is just a simple neck stretch. So I'm gonna hold my right arm out to the side. I'm gonna bring my left hand up and over and then gently pull my head to the left. And as I exhale, I can try to get a little bit more of a stretch. I'm not gonna ask for a lot. I'm really just gonna kind of let the weight of my hand be the most resistance. I don't wanna just pull my head to the side. In about 10 seconds, we'll switch sides. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Switching sides. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Now we're just gonna look down at the ground. So as you exhale, think about your spine, not really your neck on this one. You might not have the same sensation as pulling it to the side, but now think from the base of your hips, your spine, and all those muscles leading up through your back, up to your head. That's what you're trying to lengthen here. So think about that as you just breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, and let the weight of your head really just sink towards the ground. Go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. All right, for this last exercise, I've taken my socks off. I don't really know why I had them on in the first place. We're gonna do our calves and ankles. So we're gonna get in a downward dog kind of position. So my hips are up. I'm gonna push through my hands to stretch my calves, trying to get my heels towards the floor. Now I'm gonna lift one leg. I'm gonna drive it to that left side for about 5 seconds, and then we're gonna do 10 lifts. So 3, 2, 1, and now we're just getting all the way up on our toes, getting back on our heel. Try not to let your shoulders be your leading momentum. Remember, you want to drive through your calves to get yourselves up on your toes. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then just push back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll switch sides. So we'll start just a little stretch. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's start our lifts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and stretch her out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. All right, guys, that's the end of our week 2 active recovery session. I hope the rest of your day is filled with an easy walk, hike, or if you already did it today, some mild to moderate exercise for a longer amount of time, or if you're short on time, just a couple intervals just to get your circulation still going, but nothing that feels like a whole 8 to 9 out of 10 effort workout.